All right. Oh man, we got some decorations today. Looks like it might be Thanksgiving in a certain country.
I don't know which one.
Non-US only on here. No, but I'm just kidding. Welcome back, guys. Episode 58, and we're in the lab. It might be a quieter day because it's holidays. A lot of anyone from the States might just be hanging with family. But if you are hanging with family, why not just get your cell phone out, sit on the couch, and be a weirdo and stare at us for a bit? Because we're going to break down the entire market for you in 1 hour. So you don't have to sit there sifting through charts. We'll do all the lifting for you, the heavy lifting. Bring us your chart requests, your shitcoin prayers, and we will deliver.
They will be answered.
Yeah, we've got Dave here in the chat who just announced that he went for all 3 levels at TRI for the Black Friday sale. So shout out to Dave. For those of you who don't know, that's where I learned how to trade. So big shout there. All the great charting stuff. And it's I don't really think I'm all that special. I think you go through a good program, you could probably come out the other side doing what we do. And in lieu of that, stick around here because we basically drop as much of that alpha as we can day in, day out. How are you doing today, Nick?
Good, man. I think everybody's just consolidating after the brutal drop and hopefully not getting chopped up in this range.
Yeah, this range has been
good for us.
It's been good for us. I mean, look, one of the things I love, guys, is trending market. Trending markets can be easier to trade, but with my fibs, it's actually easier to trade the range, trade consolidation. It's, that fib pong kind of stuff. So we'll go through a little bit what Nick and I have been seeing in the market and how we've been trading it. Some of the Tix plays we've been getting in on. We crushed it yesterday, live in the lab, just hanging out with each other, live trading. It was great. Today, I don't know what Nick's been up to. I got chopped once, and I'm currently out of positions, just kind of waiting. I kind of missed the exact trade I wanted, so now I've just got to hang out. Patience, and I can't lose money sitting still. So with that, we'll give a quick shout to Roman in there. And so Heel, welcome back. Good to see you guys. Not in the AM, bro. Not a morning person, I'm guessing. Emma's back. Great to see you, Emma, and Linus, and Roman is also here. Yes. Okay. So yeah, we're going to kind of dive into everything. Is the NASDAQ trading today? Question. Because I guess all that stuff closed. I don't even look at that market.
I think they were trading a little bit earlier this morning. I know, things close early.
Okay, so maybe an early close kind of thing. But anyways, yeah. So let's dive into some charts. I mean, Bitcoin dominance got the bearish retest. It's, it sucks because actually as we were live on Wednesday, it was like the starting of the crash. And I have a few things I wanted to kind of pivot on with my approach because, well, we'll get into it. But I realized that even though I'm pretty bullish on a lot of altcoins versus Bitcoin, if Bitcoin's going to fall off a cliff, then I'd rather be in USD. I think that might outperform a lot of these altcoins, and it'll be a lot easier to trade because I just basically sit there and let the market do its thing. But I'm not convinced that Bitcoin's next move is a big down. I think we might get a squeeze here. So let's kind of take a look, maybe slide over to Nick's chart to start. He and I are watching these lows. I mean, a perfect RLZ tag this morning on Ethereum at 495. That's the one I missed. So at this point, I am just watching it, but that's a sick entry and risky to the lows. There's a lot of upside potential as far as bearish retests go. So I'm actually leaning towards an upside squeeze just because I think that's probably a nasty thing to have happen right now. And once we get up there, if we did, that's where I'll be looking for shorts. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I think there's obviously we filled a huge gap to the downside. And now there's, this little throwback to the upside that we could be seeing here. That's kind of around like that 550, 555 level. But from a high time frame, obviously we always say start large, make your way down. We filled this gap here. So this is like a huge pivotal range right now. About 10% going all the way down from like 440 to here we are at around 500. This is what we need to hold for this market structure to stay intact. If we were to start closing below here, I'd actually be pretty concerned that this had put in a top and we were going to have to go out and revisit these lower levels. So huge level to be holding here right now. Trend is your friend until it's not. So I think there are going to be a lot of people looking to buy and reaccumulate this zone, which, that should be the strategy. You don't want necessarily be shorting in these levels if you're looking to hold for a long swing trade. But again, I think the market moved down pretty hard and fast. It was set up technically for it, and I think that the Mucha news about restrictions on self-custody and KYC to individual wallets kind of gave it the nudge, but it was definitely already set up from a technical point to drop this wall.
It's funny how those things seem to always line up, right? It's like
totally.
because everyone just is like, oh, TA playing out as expected. Look left, there's a narrative, and that's the thing, right? Everyone wants to know, why did it drop? TA, technicians will say, well, it's because of this and that and exhaustion and open interest and the squeeze. We all saw that coming, but everyone else who's maybe not into the charts will just say, oh, well, it's because this terribly bearish news came out that is making everyone uncertain. Chicken or egg, I'd say the timing is suspicious. I'm always a little suspicious when, nasty things come out at key technical moments. I wonder what they have
the
to
market
do.
makers are also the news makers.
No kidding. Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, but so it's like if we do see a pop here, I'll get into lower time frames in a minute, but yeah, I'd probably look for like that 550, 560 range. Completely untested. There's generally a nice little volume gap up to those levels. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on. If we do lose these lows, yeah, I'd be expecting a retest of like that 460, between 440 and 460 level. Again, anything in this 10% range is going to be where critical to hold. And closing below that, you don't want to get into that territory. Take a look over here at Bitcoin now. Which one do I want to use? Yeah, we'll go off this one. So this is like more of my high time frame chart. Obviously, key weekly level, all-time high resistance. We've come back down. We've hit that first level that we were looking for, that 16.5. It's better seen on the daily, actually. Let's use that. Yeah. So
clean
you can see
level.
here.
Oh my god. Where those were on your chart before it happened. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Almost like you mapped it out.
That's here. How did TA work? I can't believe it. But it's very similar to Ethereum right now. Like Bitcoin's been very weak off of this low. Obviously, it's holiday chop, low volume. Where's the US, etc. Right? But yeah, Bitcoin has yet to retest this breakdown levels, like 17.6 to 17.9. That's the key one to be watching right now. I already have alerts on other charts, but if you're looking just step away for the weekend, just set an alert around like 17.2 or something. And obviously on these lows here at 16.5. There's some, if you zoom this down to the 4 hour, I'll use this chart for that example. I have it open here. You can see that we're kind of just in the middle of no man's land. So obviously this is your daily level, right? 16.5. But there's a much better base here that this thing actually rocketed off of. So just take the tool here. I'll just use my normal time. So what we could see if this low does fail, right? Doesn't necessarily need to, crater all the way. So this would be, pretty good level down here as well, right? Down there at that 14,000. But if we do, fail here, so we come up a little bit, fail. I could see these levels getting swept a little bit. But if you see a sharp buyback, to me, that would signal an interim bottom. Ideally, things would have floated up and we'd be setting up some bull divergence on the mid time frames. So this is kind of like the setup that I think would be like really good. Another play you and I were talking about, possibly this runs up into the resistance, right? On weaker volume. So say volume is declining and stuff. This would definitely, give us the momentum reset we were looking for. And if we fail there, then I would definitely expect the support here at 15.5, a nice little volume node there as well to get tested. And if this does fail, again, it's all just about planning and trade scenarios. You got to be proactive versus reactive, as we say. We'd be looking back down to this 14,000 level. And from a more high time frame perspective, another support down there at 12.5, 13,000. But way too early to call this stuff down here. But just being proactive with the leveling, and then main ones to watch are going to be this like 15.7 and 17.5 to 17.6.
Yeah, I think it's important to go one level at a time, as do you. And it's nice to zoom out and just see the scale of it. So if you have, and this is I guess my thoughts on today as far as like strategy. I know Monday was all about let's find the altcoins. And I think if anything, I psyched myself out by kind of looking left when perhaps Bitcoin was at such a precarious level. The trade was likely trying to catch that top. Now, I'm not a big fan of sit there in a bull market and try to call tops. So I
Mm-hmm.
was really just focused on Bitcoin dominance, which is now trending down. However, right now, for those of you who are wondering, I'm actually heavily in Tether. I got stopped out at 18.5 on my main Bitcoin position. I sold a lot of alts as those alerts went off the other day, because I just thought, look, if Bitcoin's nuking, I mean, it's at such a level, and like you said, Nick, nothing will survive when it does that kind of 1, 2, 3K candle type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All my sexy Bitcoin charts, all those dips I was looking for, and they did come in. So that's where I'm a little torn. I'm like, okay, so all of those setups I was waiting for patiently came in, but it's now under the purview of Bitcoin kind of rolling over. And so I had to go to risk off on sort of a versus UST basis. There's something to be said for trading some altcoins in here with your Bitcoin. I just don't have any Bitcoin right now. So it's a bit of a tricky situation. I'm simplifying right this minute by just being in Tether and watching, because like you said, when you zoom out, there's a lot of levels down there.
Mm-hmm.
And, with DCA, I guess the one thing I want to say is have multiple opportunities to enter and start small. So I think if I had 6 bullets to fire at this thing, I would take my first around here. I'd probably have 2 more lined up for the next leg down, and I'd have, my last 3 for something maybe like 13.5, like the ultimate, what we're looking for, maybe a 30%. And if you don't think those things can happen,
You
just
haven't
look
been
back.
here long enough.
Yeah, just look back through history. Right now, that's super bearish as far as a quick, shorter term forecast. But I'm actually looking forward to it. If we can get that, I think that's great. But for now, my optionality is actually to the long side on the daily, because I'd like to see a squeeze up here, like I said, and that would actually set me up with a decent short opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky, but again, you can simplify it by just acknowledging the reality, which is end of year, Bitcoin's rolled over, may not be a whole lot of excitement back into its market for a little bit. So not rushing in to go all in on dip number 1.
Yep.
Something to be said for that.
Yeah, I think, capital preservation is going to be as important as capital growth for sure. I see Emma brought up a pretty good point there. Gold has been falling off a cliff today. We're not surprised. If you got my chart open here, we've been watching this trade on our newsletter for months, right? Came up, swept the highs, obviously, headed down here. This is a very key level, though. We've been saying the 1760, 1740 level. This is a 4-day chart, but as you can see, this goes back, this was a multi-year resistance level. So waiting to see if this gets a flip here or not. If it fails, definitely going to be looking for much lower on gold here, down there at 1670. So far, gold's kind of broken correlation across a lot of these markets, and she's asking what's the reasoning. Well, as we've been highlighting, the inflows into ETFs had been dropping for about over this past quarter, and the outflows had been increasing significantly, right? So I think there's just a lot of money moving around right now, and when you have high outflows or inflows, it's just this supply demand thing, and here we are. What's interesting though is that the US dollar, normally you'd be expecting some dollar strength because you're normally inversely correlated, and we don't have that. In fact, the US dollar has actually dipped to what is this? 4-month lows actually, and is on track to fall back. Oh my
God! Look at the Dixie.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at that in a while.
Yeah, this is just the US dollar, but this thing could easily fall, percent and a half back down to these levels, and then probably bounce pretty strong. But yeah, strong divergences in the market right now. Very interesting to see. But I think crypto at this point, I think a lot of people are going to be trying to mistakenly short these lows. This isn't a high risk reward short zone, right? Until it actually confirms a setup here. So even ETH right now trying to break that little downtrend line here. If it does, I think we could see this thing moving back up to like 530. These range highs or something like that. So that's kind of like what I'm keeping my eyes on in the short term. But definitely on around gold, the ETF inflows and outflows is playing a big role.
Yeah, let me actually pull up Ethereum. I better switch over to my screen share. That's not it. There you go. Here we are. Okay, let's get on to this ETH chart, because it is actually at a pivotal moment now. As you guys can see, just to break down, actually, we got really, I wouldn't say lucky that we were, if anything, luck is the part of we were watching, but we actually longed here yesterday, and you guys know, same old story, right? RT's got his, I got my fib up here trying to buy this dip. The same kind of thing came in on Bitcoin. So we got pretty fortunate in that we traded that, and we both kind of took profit up here. Nick, I think, stayed up late last night and shorted this. I actually missed that, got a little early and got stopped out. So I had to give back some of my long scalp profits. But, this is the level. And this is actually what I want to talk about today, because I don't want you guys to get the impression that I've got it all figured out here. My analysis is on point. My ability to execute, always improving. And so what I did this morning, which was an error, and I have to not hide that I make errors, but in fact share what I learned from it. Basically, I got into this consolidation looking for that long. And even though I knew it was front running my RLZ, I just thought, we're kind of coming down. We're bouncing up. And anyways, so I was long from here, and this little trend line broke down. So my stop loss fired. And as I was kind of picking up the pieces and going through my numbers and just checking what I did and kind of logging the trade that I really was looking at, came and went. It just bounced pretty quickly. So what I'm looking for here, if I get to have it, if I don't, I don't, is a retest of this low, which I actually, if it doesn't come at all, that's quite bullish. I think we'll just be moving. But this is now the long that I can consider going into the weekend. I cannot chase this. There's no way to manage risk. I'd have like a 4 ETH long position. It just wouldn't be worth my time. This is actually the reason I wanted to pull it up kind of in a hurry now, because even on stream, as we're on stream right now, we are navigating this trend line. So on the lower time frames, we're at a key level. And if we break down hard from here, I'm not going to have my bids working just yet, because I need to get through this stream and, just kind of like see what I feel like. It's a tough range, guys. It's a tough range, not for the faint of heart. And I don't think you have to trade it. Some spot buys on this level here give us the option to, just basically be break even now. I really want this to break out, trend up, get up here, give us a nice clear picture of what might be a good short. But I don't always get what I want. And if you look at the 4 hour, it looks a lot shittier. The 4 hour is a tough sell right now for bullishness in general, right? I mean, what's the trend? Well, the trend is down. And what has been the trend for a long time? Up. I mean, it's the beginning of a trend reversal. Do I really want to try to counter trend that and fade it? So that's why I'm kind of, it's tough to take the long here, given that zoomed out view. And I'm generally a little bit bearish on Q4s. Having said that, there are some altcoins catching bids today. I longed Cream because this throwback. Now, Cream announced a partnership with YFI. Andre Cronje, the man, the myth, the legend, father of DeFi, he has basically endorsed them and said that they're going to be working together. And, YFI's market cap is something like, 750 million. Cream, depending on where you look, is 29 million. Over on CMC, it's 9 million. Either one is sub 50. And so when you're talking about getting into bed with YFI, which has sort of become the standout rise above the rest as far as these platforms go, I think there's some room for growth here. I think if it's 10 million, especially, I could get to 20. If it's 30, I think we could go to 60. So I am buying this dip on Wi-Fi today, this retest. I think I would add if we get into this reload zone. I don't expect it would get to new lows. I just don't. I don't see it going down there. And if it does, I don't even think I'd sell then. I just have to eat shit and hold on to it and just fucking pray. I don't have a massive position, so I can afford to watch it draw down for a bit. But I'm feeling pretty confident about this. And here's the other reason. Wu-Tang Clan, Method Man, Redman, they released a little music video because they had that song back in the 90s called Cream. And so I guess they were brought on to do some promotional stuff. And as cringe as that is, and as toppy as that is, as far as music videos being like kind of signals of tops in markets, which I agree with, that's the kind of stuff that I feel like could just blow up in like that Gen Z TikTok kind of vibe. And so if they're going to grab that audience, and we've seen what they can do to coins, I don't know. I like it. I like it on the pullback. I wouldn't be like rushing to chase a pump, but down in this kind of like $40 to $60 range, I like Cream. So that's the one thing I bought. I think you can be a little safer when you're on things like Uniswap, like we talked about. Actually, we were going to cover that today, the way that it kind of affects it.
Yeah.
I've got some HAKKA. I'm not selling that. I liquidated a lot of my Binance coins because I just wanted to have a strong tether position while this higher time frame trend sorts itself out. But HAKKA hasn't really been affected by that, and it's actually made a little high today. Now, let's use this chart as an example, because one of the things you said, oh, that's a swing failure pattern. I said, well, you can't really do liquidity grabs like you do on, say, a Binance chart where you run the stop losses, fill all your shorts with those busted stop losses, and then dump it. I don't think it works that way with the automated.
It's a one-way trade.
Yeah, you can only really long this thing. You can sell if you have a huge position, but you can't go and borrow a bunch and dump the price into your ass and bids, and it's a different ballpark. So I don't find that as bearish, this candle, as much as maybe just somebody came in, market bought, somebody sold it back down, like whatever. So Messi's really big on HAKKA. I don't know what it does, but I know that I like to tail him on some of his trades. So this is one I've been accumulating through here, and I'm not selling that one. What else am I not selling in all my consolidation? What do I got here? I got some shares. That one's so low market cap, though. I don't know if we should talk about that one just yet. I think, Uniland, still got a little bit of Uniland. Let's pull that up. I just didn't go as hard as far as I don't think it's on this one yet. As far as cutting bags go, there's certain ones that I think are safer than others. And you'll see that on the charts, but like Uniland, wrapped ether. Yeah. So versus ETH, it's kind of just flagging a little bit, maybe arguably. So this is one, I get the pre-sale. I've still got a bag left. I'm just not rushing to sell out a lot of my Uniswap stuff. What else I got?
Before their platform launches.
Yeah, no, really bullish on this one in general. And what's its market cap right now?
7 million, I think, off my head.
Small, yeah, exactly, 7 million. So, yeah. So in general, though, and let's go down and look at my list, because this has sort of been my go-to this week. So you'll see, and this is maybe this is worth a discussion today. You'll see, the hell is that? You'll see here that a lot of these Bitcoin pairs haven't dumped. So you say well, and this one's coming into my buy zone, right? We talked about the Thanksgiving weekend having bids working down in these RLZs. VET didn't even quite make it down. And at a glance, and if I have Bitcoin, for example, I'm going to fire my first bullet as far as DCAing on Bitcoin, probably around here, like we did yesterday. So, if I have that Bitcoin, why not trade it if this is bullish? And that could be the case. But here's why I'm not racing into sort of a lot of the bigger long positions I was, because this is trading against Bitcoin, right? Which is great if Bitcoin is in a bull trend like it was when I made this list. But the information the market has given us has changed. It has said we're no longer in a bull trend on Bitcoin. At least not on the daily. We've had a breakdown, and I have to now factor that in to my risk. Do I want to be gaining? Again, it takes time and effort too to trade those altcoins. So, and if I make a gain in Bitcoin, by the time that gain comes in, is Bitcoin here? Is it here? I don't have the same kind of shorter time frame faith, I guess, that my underlying, which is Bitcoin on those pairs, is going to actually be up in value or even break even.
Oof, that OMG chart looks dangerous.
Yeah, so look, this is usually something I'd be pretty bullish on. I'm like, oh, big pump, comes into key support, double taps, confirms bullish market structure, and now it's sitting down in this reload zone. That's something I would buy. But again, this chart could be flat or even going up, but I'm losing money, losing US dollars, because Bitcoin decides to nuke. So unfortunately, because I was really excited to trade these alts and get into a little alt season, I just had to kind of recognize that. And I've done that before, where I work my ass off for 2-3 weeks trading altcoins against Bitcoin. They rally a little bit versus Bitcoin because it's going down so hard, so they stay value. But then at the end of the day, you just have a couple $1,000 less. You're like, what the hell? So this time around, I'm actually just going to have kind of that tether position until this sorts itself out. And I would bet dollars to donuts that this is not the bottom. I mean, what odds would you put on that, Nick, that this is the dip and it's never coming back? What's the probability?
I don't. I'm not an options pricer. I'll leave that to the ticks and wicks guys. But I'm not completely sold on this being a bottom personally myself. I think there could still be some unwinding of some gains getting locked in. Again, with long-term bullish, is there a strong underlying bid from institutions? Definitely. But this weekend, I'm just expecting fuckery and chop, as a lot of people are away with the families for the weekend. So this is just a great time to have a little washout, I would think.
Yeah, the market is over leveraged, and we knew that. And I think we were just kind of willing to play in the fire until it went out. I mean, look, there's a case here to be made. I've been looking at it, a little inverse head and shoulders. We get above here. And interestingly, the measured move of that breakout is actually right into resistance. So it really does line up nicely. I think there is a trade in here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, like I said, this is bullish divergence, sliding into this reload zone, longing it up to here, hunting for a short. I mean, that's if you want to play every move. That's sort of what I was thinking. But like I said, missed this morning and am now just stuck watching for a little bit. We'll see, because again, it just looks like it could drop. And some traders that I respect are pretty convinced that it's just shorting season. And I tend to agree. Like, why try to long that? I think
even in this range, it's just a series of higher lows and lower lows. Take a quick look at my chart here. It doesn't, we don't need rocket science TA on this thing. This is just a 15-minute to illustrate the point, but you can see, boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, very, very clear. little downtrend here, right?
So, and that's what I'm saying. I'm looking for that higher low, which is the RLZ of this little drop we're about to see probably here down to like 496 on Ethereum. Hey, if we get that, I'd like to take a shot on it just to ride the next few days up into that stuff we just showed. But I mean, that's risky trading. I might have to eat shit, because we could drop the lows here. And like, you found a level, didn't you, at like 15,960 or something? I mean, we could make one new low here, and that's the new, it's really tough trading. And I bet, I mean, maybe I come out and make a little bunch of profit, but I bet looking back, maybe weeks from now, even months from now, there's going to be a market phase we're in where it's just so easy. And we may look back at this chop and go, man, why did I lose so much there? Why did I force the trade so many times there? So this may be a case where if you're not in a short or you're feeling out of position, it may be a great time to do nothing.
You just hold, wait.
Patience, the patience. We talk about it all the time, but patience is probably the hardest thing in the market, especially when it's been really bullish and then it shows a dip, and you've been trained to buy the dip, and that's I think this leg, I think this drop is probably going to have 3 legs. That's my vibe. The middle leg being the strongest. In other words, the next leg we're about to see is probably going to be the most violent, and then maybe some sideways, and then that one final dip, and that's where everyone just goes, oh my God, and they sell it, and then we start calling for 9K, and then we bounce at like 13. That's sort of historical precedent stuff.
Yeah, I saw a tweet from someone. I can't remember the account name, but it's something I don't look at often, and that's the yearly VWAP. Obviously, it's been trending up here, but it is currently sitting down at 9,700.
No, don't say it.
I said it, but I don't think there's like much precedent for this acting as like a huge gauge of trend or anything.
What's the 20 MA on the weekly? Can you pull that up? I hear that a lot. A lot of guys I respect, they use that as a higher time frame indicator, and that might give us some insight into what we're going to see. And I want to show you guys what I'm looking at as far as, I put this out on Twitter, so if you guys are following us on Twitter at Real Hero Labs, you would have already seen it, but I want to show it on stream and just kind of walk through it, because it's our 2017 fractal. But let's get the 20 MA on the weekly. Apparently for bull markets, it's just been the support. And I do think we're in a bull market, unlike the higher time frames.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any denying that. But it's interesting. I will.
This line up.
Yeah. Oh, show us.
12,000.
There you go. And that's actually close to what I'm looking at. Let me pull up what I'm looking at here. Previous all-time highs. Okay. So let's look at previous all-time highs, guys. And we actually talked about this recently. So let's just break this chart down. It's 2017. Okay. It is January. And price comes up to the old highs. Sure, it was very exciting. Nick, you were around for this. This was before my time.
Yeah.
And it front ran it by 2%, kind of like we just did. Didn't quite make the highs. And then it fell very hard for about 10 days, right? This is a 3-day chart. So let's maybe zoom in even. Let's even go to a 4-hour. Uh-oh, to go way back now. But let's get into a 4-hour and just see, because for now, this is playing out. And I always thought this kind of just made sense. It wasn't even like, I mean, I know things are a little different this time around. There's some new players involved. There you go. So, right, you had that first violent leg, and then you had a bounce up consolidation, which is where we are right now. If you want to use this as a fractal, sort of thinking forward, and it didn't get the big retrace that I'm actually looking for right now, and then just kind of continued, bounced sideways down, third leg, and then it even faked out like maybe a week later, one last leg. And you can imagine at this point, people were starting to regret trying to do the hold thing. You know, the dip buyers were down a lot on their dip buys. You get that sell off. And then it was just, so, okay. If you're looking to get long and you're just like, I don't even want to buy the dip, I want to wait for confirmation that we're continuing. Well, what do you need? Right? Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, higher high. There's your trend reversal. And sure enough, higher low, and we're off, and it never really looked back. So, keep that stuff in mind, guys. This is a 4-hour chart. This is how long the last dip took on the last all-time highs, which is the last, the only thing we really have to work with. This time will be different, but I bet it will rhyme. So if we look at that chart, now let's go to the daily.
Zooming it all the way back.
Guess where the bottom was? That's right. Smack dab on the 382 of the entire year's rally from these lows right up to here. 382 tag. It was about a 34% drop. Okay. And then it was a really strong bounce up, made the new highs, and then dumped it again. Another 33%. Right as and then when it reclaimed that old all-time high right here, what a sick go signal and off. And if we see something like that this time, we'll be sure to report it. And that'll be a great signal. If you're not already trying to grab these levels, at the very least, this will be a good one. Now, how does this compare to the current market? And that's what I want to look at right here. Ooh, it's not on that one. Previous all-time highs. Where's my daily? Daily. I might not have the exact one. Oh, I do. Okay, good. So here we go. We are at a Gann angle, which for what it's worth will act as support for at least a little bit. That's why we stopped here probably. Now look at this. We can actually take Gann off because he's not really the purpose of this. So look at the similarities to what we just looked at. Front ran by what? 1.59%. So almost the exact same, almost 2%. Now you take that high, which we just made. What's our drawdown? 30, kind of like last time. Bing. So put them side by side. We've got a very similar situation potentially setting up. If nothing else, just to give you a reference that this can happen. And so I'm just kind of keeping an eye on this level because there's no doubt in my mind this is just going to take a little time to roll over. And I can't rush to short it, like unless I get a low time frame set up, unless I'm up into something like this. So pump chaser zone, anything in here, I think after this kind of a bull market is going to be a buy for me. I'll probably have my first bids working in that sort of 13,600 area, front run this a little bit because I do think Bitcoin's really bullish and I don't want to miss a huge pullback by like $100 to try to hit it on the nose. So I'll front run this 382, and if we keep going in, I'll probably crank it up a bit, maybe even hunt for some lower time frame setups to get long. But that's it. That's what I'm looking at. And so, maybe I shouldn't be rushing to try to buy RLZ dips on this little thing just to squeeze that. I think the higher time frame tells me I can be patient and I can look for shorts until we've satisfied some of these levels.
Yeah, I think we just need to get through this holiday weekend and see the volume return.
Yeah, like see what the market movers do on Monday, because the CME is closed today or no? What do you think? I guess I could just check.
That one.
Actually,
Yeah, I know there was a big options CME options expired today, so that's worth mentioning.
yeah, let's take a look at the CME. Is it moving? It is. Yeah, it's trading today. So CME is active, and for what it's worth, those guys tend to move the market. Yeah, could this be the dip and it never goes below this price and we just go off to new highs and it's like, haha, RT, you didn't buy that. Yep, that's totally possible. But I would peg the probability of that being like sub 10%. It would be very weird to me if they didn't take this opportunity to squeeze out a lot more money from the market, because they can and most likely will.
They will.
They will. Let's take a look at the chat after my big old rant.
Yeah.
15 mil looks like a downward trend. Is it short? Yeah, Rook. Yeah, we'll take a look at some coins here, guys, in a little bit. What point does COVID round 2 deflation start affecting the market? Oh, interesting question. Maybe for Nick.
Well, essentially what that's going to do, well, we're already in deflation / stagflation. I think I shared a bunch of articles, especially in Canada, Japan going through something very similar right now as well. And yeah, it's going to take a while to recover, right? As long as we have businesses restricted, outputs are lower, and consumer confidence is shaky, then we're going to be in these conditions for a while until that sentiment turns around. But if we do see lockdown measures and the economy not popping as they forecast, then yeah, we'll definitely see a lot more injection. That'll be good for equities, but we are coming into that tax selling season, end of the year, Q4. So that's definitely in the back of our heads right now for sure.
Yeah, I'm pinging through some charts here. Let's take a look at ETH BTC, another one of the big movers for all coins, and see what its health is. I mean, as you guys can see, what I've illustrated on this chart is just a slight, like a light idea of what I expect. And again, this would be bullish. Big downtrend, double bottoms off key support, big strong breakout into that catalyst deposit contract event, and now expecting a little cool down consolidation, because bottoms don't form overnight, right? I mean, look at this thing. Look at this monstrous bottom that it took to put in. I don't think we'll have to wait that long, but look, that's July 2019, and the significant breakout didn't really come until July 2020. There's a 1-year consolidation underwater until it came back. Now it's gone out and it's retested that breakout level. Big impulse off that. That's internally very bullish. I wouldn't be worried about ETH BTC here or Ethereum in general. But am I going to rush to buy this? No. I think I can take some time. I think it can float through here for a little bit. Look, December, this whole thing is not even to Christmas. So, and like I said, historically, Ethereum tends to bottom in January. Buying Ethereum in January, regardless of its level, historically has aged extremely well, with the one exception being January 2018, when it was like above $1,000 and didn't get back there ever yet. So, I absolutely see the case, Sigmar, that we're heading towards bullish conditions for altcoins. Yes. Key differentiator is that is against Bitcoin. So yes, like we're in a risk on window, according to Bitcoin dominance. So keeping perspective on that, I do think we're actually headed towards a bullish window for altcoins, but let me show you. And I'll use SIS as an example, actually, because this one had a really nice long bottom consolidation. So again, bottoms take a long time to form. This is your accumulation phase for the last sort of SIS coin boom, and then it absolutely exploded. The longer the consolidation, the stronger the breakout. This thing ran insanely high. Now, does this look like a bottom? Not yet. I think it could have a really nice counter trend rally here. In fact, I expect it to. Again, you're going to gain Bitcoins, but Bitcoin in that time frame might end up losing value versus USD, which makes this trade a wash. So it really comes down to your strategy too. I know a lot of people who just sit in Bitcoin. They say, look, Bitcoin's bullish long term. I don't care. I just want to increase my sats. And that was actually me through a lot of 2017, 2018. I just said, I don't really care. I'm just looking to increase my sats. I focus entirely on what I can trade Bitcoin for. that will outperform it in the short term, midterm, and then I take it back and I have more Bitcoin. What I realized in 2018, and I did talk about this a little bit earlier, is that actually specific to that 6K drop. Let's find the 6K drop, the savage dump, right here. I was trading altcoins through here that spring. We had I think it was that spring, maybe it was spring 2019, but we had a decent little rally, and I was sitting in Bitcoin and I was trading it against altcoins. Tether outperformed all my altcoins in the end. So obviously this is a different market, but that's the lesson I learned, is that actually sitting in Tether when Bitcoin is looking like it's going to fall off a cliff, I will gain in sats. I will increase my Bitcoin bag, and I don't have to do anything. I can just sit there.
1x short.
Yeah, letting the market work for me. So, is this the best place to rush into a huge short? No. Like I said, if I wasn't short yet, and I'm not in like a leverage short or anything, I just mean like if I, my Bitcoin stopped out at 18.5. I panic bought range lows, and then they got stopped out as well. So like basically a break even, because it bounced that night and then came back down, and it was like, okay, that didn't work. So we're back. And I'm just not rushing back in, because the amount of USDT I have will go up in sat value as this goes down. Does that make sense, guys? Like, I'm not trying to bring the bear on altcoins. I think a lot of these setups look really bullish. So if that's your strategy, I would encourage you to stick to it. And I'll even share my best altcoin setups. I think the ones on this list, again, we could do a quick scan of the orange. The orange list is the one that, like this should be on the green list now. Got a breakout if it closes bullish today. All of these coins on this list are in sort of locations where I think they're sexy. But that's just, again, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort, and I might just watch them break down anyways. But one thing I'm much more confident in is that I can buy this cheaper with the tether I have. And that'll, so if I just say, look, just say you sell one Bitcoin here and you buy it back at that level we were watching, like 13.6, even front run it, 18%. So I can buy back, 1.18 Bitcoin maybe in 10 days. I mean, if this is a bull, which it is, these drops tend to be pretty sharp and aggressive. They're not like slow, meandering bear markety things. It's like just fuck you, panic, bounce, and then continue.
Yeah, we gotta cascade all the stops, get everybody out there, create the bottom liquidity, fear of God in the retail traders, because at the end of the day, their goal is to shake out as many early guys as possible, as well as on the leverage, make it less resistance to go back up.
Yes. And one of the things that actually helped me change my tune is a buddy of mine who I talk about all the time. I told him, you got to come on the show because I talk about you all the time. Everyone's going to think I'm pretending to know you, because why haven't you been here? So BTC Jack Sparrow has agreed he's going to come on sometime in the near future. I'm gunning for December 7th, but I haven't heard back yet. But he and I had a good chat the other day. He has, the guy's a fucking god with this stuff. Mostly in his execution is just outstanding. And he was buying and leveraging up down here because he had been watching, for that dump from well before. So when it happened, he had his plan. He loaded up. He rode it. Honestly, he rode most of the way. I know that it was last week that he was closing his leverage longs like an absolute G. Changes his name to Fiat Jack. Everyone calls him an idiot because it's a bull market. And now he's like, Fiat Jack, ? And, so we had a really good chat. He said, dude, don't kid yourself. This is time for shorting, time for being patient, time for waiting in tether. The first round of dip buyers never win. And I, as a bit of a trade mentor of mine, I'm just not going to go against him. He's better than me at spotting the higher time frame stuff, bottom line. So if you're wondering why I flipped my tune a bit, it's because we had that chat after this big dump.
It's good to get perspective from people in your network.
And so anyways, having said that, I can't look away from this chart. I see bullish divergence on the lower time frames, and I just want to long this up into here. I'm like addicted to being a bull, and I'm really going to have to restrain myself. If I get a really nice setup and I can take managed size risk, and I just have to be a trader, right? If I can't sit out for the next few weeks, then this is what I'm looking for right now. That's it. That's the trade. That's what I'm looking for if I have to be a longer. What I think would be safer, sitting in tether and waiting. And if it gets up there, hunting shorts, because that's with the trend. So
That's solid trade plan. I
Yeah,
like it.
that's the best I can do right now.
I guess we
You
can
know,
jump some alts here.
I don't want to force it. Let's jump into some alts.
I got I really, we were talking about this trade pre-stream before it dropped to the Wi-Fi and having these levels down there, 18.5 to 19K retested. Sure enough, came into it. Nice, really, solid reaction off that. And right now, as long as it's holding these lows here around like 21.5, Wi-Fi is bullish above 21.5. In fact, it could be potential. Well, it's actually pretty dirty, inverted head and shoulders. But yeah, when's this going to get bull again for continuation to the upside? Probably when it's closing above this little throwback range here. So anything above like 26.5, and I think will be good to retest that 30K level. And then in terms of support, we need to see that 21.6, 21.7 level hold right now. And yeah, I think we're just going to see some sideways choppiness, low volume bullshit over these next few days, unfortunately. So, maybe a good time to take out a book, watch some audiobooks. There's plenty of other things we can be doing with our time than watching these 5-minute charts in $1 range. So that's what we're looking for on YFI. I know, I took a nice trade here on Solana.
Yeah, you crushed that thing. I was a little bit jelly. I wanted to be in there with you.
Yeah, like this, I love this one. It's layer 1 protocol, etc. Same thing here. It's kind of in this really wide 45% range, right? Bearish throwback level at 2.4, 2.5. And until that's cleared, until we're closing above this, as we talked about before, there's just there's zero reason to be getting long at these levels, right? And down here right now, we're coming up. So basically we're trapped between these ranges, right? You got this range low here at 185 and this range low here at $2. I'd say there's no real long trade here unless you're bidding the the bullish throwback that did get tapped down here, 1.6, 1.5. I would be looking for a long setup back up to the bearish throwback range here if we close above this 203 mark. And that'd be a nice trade, right? Another 19% movement to the top of the range. So, but until that level breaks to $2, I'm not really interested in it at this point. All your good entries on the shorts are gone, unless we do come up here. So something like this, right? I'll quickly draw it out. So if we saw something like this happen, and I saw some weakness, let's say we come up here and we're consolidating below this level and making lower highs. I'd be looking for a short back down to the bullish throwback range. If that breaks, well, this level here is going to be the spot to be watching. 125, 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it does break above, right, this would be your long signal to take this trade back up to the top of the range. So
now you had some insight, did you not, into the OTC or like the back end of the tokenomics here? Like, is there some price support that was mid $1? Is that what I remember hearing?
Yeah, like the distribution. So yeah, Mike says distribution in December. It's actually on January 9th or January 8th. That's going to take place. But what I was saying is that there's a lot of, firms, large players that are just accumulating Solana and OTC and soaking up a lot of the supply, right? So
they're going to moon it when it comes time. That's a nice thing about that. Yeah. They're not going to lose money. They're going to put a bottom in it. They're going to soak it all up. They're going to build it and break it out and get the public to moon it for them.
Yeah, like I could definitely see like somewhat of a little drop because obviously not everybody's going to be selling in the OTC markets for whatever reason, right? But I just think it's going to be dampened quite significantly, and there's going to be a pretty strong underlying bid on this one. So even if it does, say it does dip something like this, like I'm looking for a buy on here more so than like a huge, giant short. All that stuff's just like short-term opportunistic stuff. But if we do see, okay, January comes along and it does nuke down, it's going to be something to buy, in my opinion. And I think we will see a very sharp V off that stuff. And it's a very, it's a limited amount of supply that's hitting the market. But I think like the prices of where they bought was like down to like 20 to 30 cents. So all those guys are in, pretty healthy profit. But the Solana protocol, like the team's executing. I know they got a lot of big releases coming up. Serum's volume is picking up. So yeah,
and at the end of the day, I mean, I'm so bullish on crypto. we've talked about this, right? It kind of like, it's like mind numbing to think how exciting it is in the coming months, and especially just throughout next year and even maybe the next year. We'll see. It's hard to say like next year's 2017 and we'll have to peak there. I mean, we just don't know how it's going to play out, but I'm so incredibly bullish. And so I want that to be the takeaway here today, as we've come across with a lot of caution, because the market is signaling to us that it's time for it to cool down after a very hot sort of 8-week run for Bitcoin at the end of the year, or into the end of the year. So, let that be the key takeaway today, is that into next year, I think most positions that are taken right now are going to be great. So you have to ask yourself what kind of trader you are, what kind of investor, who are you in the market? Because, planting some seeds right now in some of these Bitcoin versus Bitcoin pair lows is probably going to age really well, and even versus some USD pairs. But in the next week or two, might not. And so as long as if you're going to buy something here versus USD, you either have a stop loss or you're just committing to a 2-year time horizon, you're fine. But if you're the type of person who's going to see their position go down 10, 20% and sell it, probably just wait a bit.
HODL.
I've got altcoins right now that I am, I'm not selling them no matter what. And I mentioned those earlier, like as far as like local downside, this cream that I just bought, I'm stuck in that position. I'm going to wait until at least 2x and I'll take my initial back. HAKKA Finance, I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to just ride it. I'm sized them such that they don't stress me out. What else do I've got? I've got Ethereum. I've actually got a little bag of Ethereum sitting on Uniswap. Like I'm not trying to short that to get it back cheaper. I have a primary bag. It's my main liquidity for trading. It's sitting in Tether right now. I would like to have some spot exposure to what I expect could be a bounce here. If you look, if you look over here, I'd like to be long on this if it's going to break upwards this weekend. But I gotta get my entry, and that's just the trader's life. I may not get exactly what I want out of this. What I am going to do is make sure that I don't get caught. Trying to long here and then somehow get a little bit more depressed here and have thoughts of cutting my bag. Like I'm just going to take it easy on myself. Most of that spot exposure will be reclaimed if we get down here.
Yep.
So here's the tricky thing. I have to ask myself, how will I feel if price goes up here and I have no Bitcoin? How will I feel if price goes up here and I have no Bitcoin? Because if I am going to FOMO at this location, I better just grab a little bit now so I'm not like all in or all out. Because once you're all in or all out, you tend to make more emotional decisions. So like I said, firing my first bullet here, maybe firing one more here. But I'm really loading up. Like I'm firing all my extra bullets starting here. Like that's where I'm going to get aggressive. But maybe, I'm already up on, the initial short that I took as far as like stop loss out of my Bitcoin, right? So I can already have a little bit more back here. And buying that is going to prevent me from, freaking out and going, oh my God, I just sold the next fucking paradigm.
No rash decisions, please.
Yeah. So all in, all out is probably also not recommended. Partial, patient, all that stuff. Any other charts? Let's take a look at cover. Somebody asked about cover. I got it here.
You grab cover and I'll grab XLM. I saw that in there.
Oh yeah, XLM. We were actually looking at that today for a short, oddly. But let's pull it up because, I'm not calling shorts on it. I did see a setup for Bitcoin. But look, cover came out, consolidated almost right away when it launched in, November 20th. So it's like an 8-day-old coin. So it's pretty new. It has been trending down on the hourly. It is trying to put in a little bottom, and it's doing so fairly successfully. It's got some higher lows coming in. Arguably a couple little breakouts here. So if you're into trading this on the lower time frames, I think this is a high that needs to be broken to get really bullish on this one as far as making a higher high. So let's make that a 4-hour chart. Going to get a stronger signal here. I mean, yeah, arguably you have that higher high right here. So there's an early signs of a trend reversal. What would add confidence to that for me is a break and close above this level. That shows you that, bulls have sort of taken back control. And at that point, you guys know, it's going to be an ugly one because it's not programmed like it is on TradingView. But you guys know that my fib, and you guys can set this up. I've done it a few times on stream, but I mean, point remains. Let's just put it over to the right at least. But, if this does break up here, then, I can't buy those highs, but I will chase it with the fib if I'm bullish on this coin. And then I will try to spike buys because, again, like we see all the time, if you haven't noticed my charts, stuff happens a lot. Let's look at OMG right there, right? Breakout, spike back down. Tomo, breakout, don't chase it. Draw the fib, buy that reload zone. Nice and low to the lows so you can get out. Look at ARPA, same thing. Breakout confirmed, buy that reload zone. That's how you get long when you're in a lower risk place, right? Didn't quite break out, didn't get the close above this level, but did I chase? No. Could I be buying these reload zones? Yes. So that's my 2 cents on that cover. Whatever you do, wait for confirmation and then get chintzy.
That's always the key, is just waiting for that confirmation, especially the next few days where it's going to be super low volume. This is XLM. We do have an ascending triangle structure to it. It's basically in a no trade zone, really, unless you're already long. I guess you would still be long, unless, say, we lose these range lows here at 18 cents. Yeah. If we're closing below there, we'll have that be a break of the trend line, break the range lows. I would expect price to retreat back to around like 17.3, 16.9. If we do smash this resistance, right? Well, so I think I'm actually on the wrong product. I'm on the perps product. FTX.
I'm gonna say, yeah, you should get one with a little more history because there's a really rich chart on like Finex or Binance.
Yeah, here's Binance. Wow, this is the classic, kind of what we're looking for on Bitcoin, eh? For that retrace back up to these.
Squeeze up, yeah.
Let's see here. So where did it really come back to?
What a sick breakout though. Like the volume on this breakout is so significant. I was saying before, like I kind of want to, like if I'm bearish on Bitcoin or whatever short term, I think it's going to pull back and it's not at a great shorting location. Find an altcoin versus USD that is at a great shorting location because it'll fall with it. And this is one I looked at, but that breakout volume is so strong. I just don't know if I should fade it.
Yeah, look at that.
Somebody made a lot of money fading massive breakouts. Like it's just not how you line up with the probabilities, right?
Yeah, I think this is pretty interesting. So this is like the daily range going back to 2018. You can see when it dumped, look, it's flipping it back to support, right? So if you are, lucky enough to be long from down these lows, I think this level here, this 14.2, is going to be a hard stop range. Other than that, looks bullish on the higher time frames. But right now on the 4 hour, there's still some indecision here. I wouldn't particularly be interested in longing this thing unless we've reclaimed this level here. So this 20 cents, 20 to 20, 20 to 20, 20 and a half cents. This is your bearish throwback right here. If it clears that, let's go. We'll probably see a nice measured move from this range. So how you calculate that is just doing something like that. So a 35% move up from there. And you'd be looking at like 27, 28 cents. That's how I would be trading this. But for now, it's kind of in a no trade zone, considering we're still under bearish throwback, supports all the way down here. So if you are getting long, right, you're risking, if you're trading the 4 hours, some pretty big downside. So it's not the sexiest trade to be had at the moment. Better to wait for the confirmation. And it's just this low weekend shit. Stoke is already kind of trending down. I wouldn't, I think this could definitely easily break down with this level here being your key level to hold. If it's breaking below here, I'd probably get out and just wait for this level to get explored. So that's kind of around the, like I said, that 17 cents is going to be pretty key. But I think unless we're above here, probably just wait for a better entry. Just wait.
Yeah, it's a bit of waiting, and I don't like that. I was so jacked up over the last couple of weeks with the bull market. The alts were coming back. Bitcoin dominance broke down. I'm excited. I'm ready to get greedy. The fear greed index. Actually, let's pull that up real quick. If you want to pull that up, Nick. It's starting to roll over. Like I get it, and it sucks. We had a good trade day yesterday, scalping those lows, and that kind of gives me the bug. And now I just want to find the next one. I got roasted this morning, got stopped out. But my overall TLDR is like, maybe right now is it time to kind of pull back, read a book, like you said, pick a strategy, do some paper trading, learn something new, review some videos, whatever it is that helps you become a better trader when the conditions are more clear. There is a time for that. And I think we may be in it. And I have to maybe even cut my own risk down. Like, unless we get that God tier short that I'm looking for from like whatever it is, 18.8, 18.6, I will trade that. But in lieu of that, I'm going to have to cool it on the scalps, maybe go down to 0.25% risk just to stay practiced.
Yeah.
Because like next year, I mean, again, there's just going to be such a big, nasty, beautiful trend. And I think trying to trade this drop, okay, like big uptrend, people are making money hand over fist. So we've ended that now with that big dump. That is short term, come to an end. How much money are you going to give back before the next FU rally? That's, I guess, the question.
Yeah, I'd say fear and greed index is sitting at obviously yearly highs right now, currently being at 86 on the extreme greed side. And this there was just so much confluence when we were sitting at 19K that we'd see this pullback.
Why didn't we short it again? I was looking at altcoins.
I shorted Ethereum instead. Just
yeah. You caught a part of that. I remember that morning because you looked at me, you said, dude, I think there was a swing failure pattern on the Bitcoin chart. And I was like, oh, damn. Yeah, look at that. And I'm like, let me go buy some altcoins on the dip. The trade might have been to just get a nice loose short on Bitcoin. But hey,
like
you live, you learn.
If the majors drift down, like that's considered that ranging type price action, slow bleeds also perform well. But when you have a nuke type situation, generally nothing performs well.
Yeah, you get the fear. And I'm actually impressed right now with how well my short list of like Bitcoin pairs are holding up. But like you said, those lows don't have to hold on those. If Bitcoin takes that third leg, I mean, we're still waiting on the second leg. I don't know. Just a lot of uncertainty. I don't see too many good trades except for the ones I've already shown today. Now let's look at NOIA. NOIA is on KuCoin. I've never heard of it, but this chart actually looks really good. Completely isolated from everything else we've talked about today. This thing looks really bullish. I mean, nice long accumulation through the early parts of 2020. Nice breakout accumulation. Moontown, basically a full Elliott wave cycle. Could show you roughly what that looks like. I'm not a big Elliott waves guy, but I look at them on sort of a high time frame. You get that sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. And that's just what you'll see on so many different little charts and cycles. And then we got right into this reload zone. I imagine there was some bullish divergence. Let's take a look on the MACD. Ooh, not actually as much as I expected. Maybe like a 3-day. It's a pretty long-term chart. Yep, 3-day had some bullish divergence, right? So you have the MACD making a higher low as this slides in to make a lower low. RSI, not so much. Breaking out of oversold on the 3-day. So this is a pretty strong move. And if you, again, if your strategy is to just trade and not worry too much about what Bitcoin's doing, because you just think this will go up versus Bitcoin and that'll get you some more Bitcoin, that's great. Then in this case, great candidate. If you're going to call that a pump, which I would, maybe you're looking at the pump chaser zone, which is where it's at right now. If you want to be a little safer because there's a little caution in the market, maybe we're going to roll over, buying that kind of a dip and see where you end up. So again, I don't know what that project is. I imagine the market cap isn't too big. So we can actually just take a look at that real quick. NOIA. We're getting here at the top of the hour. Man, these streams have been flying this week. I don't know. In general, time is just flying.
It's the flow.
Like yesterday, we were in there and it was like I blinked. I was like, holy shit, it's 4:00. I got to go eat lunch. And it's just happened again today. So yeah, I mean, NOIA, 36 mil market cap. It's not too big. So there's probably some upside in there relative to the market. Looks good. I mean, I can't deny that's a really good looking chart. That is not like, it's not like some big toppy chart that looks like it's about to like roll over. I mean, it's kind of the opposite. So great eye. Who brought that one up? Sigmar, really nice chart. So I could see why you would say, like, argue that we're heading into towards bullish conditions for alts. Yes. I mean, this looks really bullish. So it's tough, guys. It's tough. I'm such a bull in altcoins, and I just spent hours all week like looking through to make this short list. I want to just get in there. Maybe I'm just psyching myself out because of that dump. I don't know. But generally speaking, oh, we got a little action here. It's a critical level. What's going on, Bitcoin? We're going to break from this trend line here. So here's what's really cool. Actually, one of the traders I work with, he is trading altcoins. He's actually pretty sure that we were going to carve out a range here. So if this does range, however it ends up ranging, altcoins are going to catch a bid. And, we can all laugh at RT on Monday when all my altcoins break out and I'm not on them. If there's any kind of ranging here, expect altcoins to pop. And this looks pretty good for a move up. And this right shoulder, God, you know what I'm going to say, Nick. I'm going to kick myself because I didn't long my own setup. But there you go. This is actually more confirmation that this was a good low. I might be able to find a little trade in here. We'll see how scalpy I feel this weekend. Maybe one final one. Okay, you want to take one or bat, and I'll do the other, and then we'll wrap on the fine Friday. And Tamea asks, any idea why BNT Bitcoin didn't dump like the others? Let's take a look. It's on my short list. Yeah, I mean, again, so here's the thing. Versus Bitcoin, this thing basically stayed the same. And Bitcoin dumped. But versus USD, it kind of rolled over. But you're right. It's holding up a little better than the others. Who knows? Versus USD, though, you guys can see the trend here. Right? High, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low. So unfortunately on the daily, it is still trending down despite these attempts here, which look pretty good, right in this reload zone, to try and reverse. I mean, it's definitely more in its buy zone than it's been for the last few months, but it is still trending down on the daily.
Yeah, I'm just drawing up the bat chart here. It's a huge breakout, retested, but it is coming into retesting this daily level at the moment. So that's probably the biggest level to be watching right now. What is that? 20 cents? Yeah. So anywhere from like this 20 cents all the way up to kind of 21 cents. That's the daily level that needs to hold. If I was bullish on this long term, I have no idea what's going on in this project. I'd be buying that level. This is the classic throwback, right, from that move. In terms of like, what does this thing need to do to, signal a long-term shift to bull? It needs to get back above this bearish throwback level up here. So that's, 31, 32 cents. So even if you're already going to take this trade, say you get here buying in there, that's it's pretty sexy move. And your downside risk is what? Breaking these lows here. So, almost 10 to 1. That's be something I'd be interested in. This assumes obviously either Bitcoin's doing well itself or it's just kind of stuck in a range, right? So two scenarios in which this could perform. But yeah, low time frames, pretty much the same case here, right? These are just some key levels to be bidding. And if this thing, even in the short term, if we're just looking at this here on the 4-hour level that needs to be cleared is like that 24.2, up to 25 cents, right? So even a trade there, what's that look like?
See, that level on USD looks really good.
Yeah.
Just like from that consolidation, then we had the big breakout, nice volume, and now it's just testing that breakout. Like, God, maybe I'm wrong and Bitcoin is going to stop here. I don't know. You guys are making me bullish on altcoins. When refund. Yes, I was watching it closely. Thanks. We got Billionaire Training over at TradingView asking if we check that chat box. And I said, yes, we do. You mentioned bullish divergence. Not sure what he's asking, but if you have any questions, let us know. This is Sushi and Sigmar. Yes. Up until the Bitcoin broke down, very, bullish signs from a lot of alts, right? This huge rise in volume. This is versus USD, and it basically faded that entire dump that it made into the reload zone, right? So these are the levels still to be watching. Yeah, it looks really bullish, guys. I'm torn now because I'm not long on all the alts that I want, but I really always want alts to do well. Like I'd love this big thing to just be the start of a breakout, and Bitcoin, does catch a range. Oh, sick breakout on Bitcoin. What is going on here? 17K. Yeah. So let's see, guys. I don't want to get too into the predictions. Looks like I need to get back to the charts, because if Bitcoin does break up here, that's going to basically count as a range for now.
Send everything else.
And and then that's going to actually really help with these setups. So, and this is the tricky thing with streaming, because we go live 3 times a week, and like right after Wednesday, everything nuked. A lot of the analysis that I shared suddenly became invalid. Today, I'm unsure right now about Bitcoin. Actually, by the end of this stream, I might have a better signal as far as this breakout. If that closes and we bounce and get a new higher high, my whole tune is going to change in the short term if this breaks and closes, right? Because now we have a low time frame uptrend. So you might expect over the weekend some of these altcoins to get their bids. So not to be like vague and all over the map, guys, but that's sort of what consolidation and market pivots tend to do, to me especially, most people. But does that make sense, guys? Am I all over the map here? Can I get a comment in the chat? I'm wondering if I'm just being like the most vague and misleading. Like the bottom line is, I see Bitcoin high time frame pivoting, so I'm having trouble buying these against Bitcoin. So what I actually might do, as I speak out loud, narrating all my thoughts, I might just pivot over to some USD charts with altcoins. Because, if they're bullish versus USD, that's ultimately what I'm trying to maintain or grow for now. Until Bitcoin, shows me something a little more bullish. What do you think, Nick? Should we wrap here in the next few minutes? Yeah, we got so right about sushi. Perfectly touched that level you were watching and retest Omega bounce 50% already. Crazy. Other experienced traders try to short. Poof. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the thing that's sick about RLZs, guys, is that when the price gets into them, it's just like so opposite sentiment, right? So when the price touches this reload zone, everyone's calling for lows. It's bearish. We're going to short it. And on the flip side, when price gets up into a short reload zone here, it's like, oh my God, it's going to break out. It's going to moon. And then, they're all longing, and that's the short entry liquidity for the players. So like, that's why, like, if you don't use any other tool and you just want something to give you a simple kind of idea of, especially like ranging structures like this, just get into these and start asking yourself, when you get bullish, is it up in a short reload zone? When you get bearish, is it down? I bet it is. Try to start countering that. And you will end up, you'll probably do a lot better. I'm trying to find the example, like even this, and this is what maybe we'll wrap here in the next minute, but like, this is what we traded yesterday, and it's not easy, guys. Like in retrospect, it looks so easy, but we got on the line yesterday morning. Well, God, it was actually afternoon. It was like noon. Nick and I are chatting, and Bitcoin had just made a third new low. So it's feeling bearish. It's like, oh my God, we're going to nuke, but it bounced. So I drew my fib up to here. And then I said, okay, look, dude, like there's no short here, but man, I could long that. And that's 15-minute charts. So we actually sat there, not for the faint of heart, staring at these charts while they're in your position. But we sat there for like 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And, it's some anxiety there. It's not easy to sit there and stare, even though I'm sized in a way that I can afford to make that loss. But, we're buying that sweet spot, risking to these lows, 1.28%. And, your upside has to be at least 3 to 1. There it was. So, point being, these are not easy trades to take, but the more I do them and the, measuring risk, obviously, they become easier, and they're kind of sweaty, kind of fun. So I did.
Yeah, comfort through experience.
Yeah, and that's actually why we recommend paper trading all the time. The people that say, well, why don't you just paper trade it? Some guys will say, well, you don't have skin in the game. It's not the same. It's like, well, if you take it seriously and you treat it like real money and you treat it like, a little more robotic, what it'll do is it'll give you confidence in your setups. Mm-hmm. So you're saying, man, I've been banging out winners with this for the last 4 weeks. I know this setup's good. So when you get into that buy zone, you don't start trying to shift your bias and say, oh, we're going to dump. And that actually just came in again this morning. I'm actually waiting for this one. So we have this low, but I don't know if we'll get it. This is a pretty strong break through that trend line. So I may have to shift setups if I want to chase this some way with like a bearish SR flip. But ultimately, that's exactly on a larger time frame the setup that came in this morning at about 10 a.m. Dipping down into that reload zone, having those orders working, risking to the lows. So that's it. RLZs for days, baby. Okay, so we've got some guys over TradingView. I don't want to ignore them here, making sure I double check that. Said this channel live stream. Oh, yeah. Got Bitcoin running from 4 hours. It's going pretty wet. Okay. Is it true most alts take several minutes to hours to trade? Yeah, depending on your time frame. I mean, you can be in a 4-month setup. You can be 15-minute setup.
It depends on the volatility at the time.
Yeah. I mean, look, this was the setup I was eyeing today at 10:55. It triggered. That's this entry. So how long is that going to take to play out? Well, I'm going to say let's risk all the way to here. Fuck it. And to get to 3 to 1, how long does it take to get there? I guess is the question. Probably today, tomorrow.
Yeah, you never really know. There's so many different variables that impact that.
Yeah, Twedgic, shout out to that compliment. He said, chart looks like a rave party. Losing, winning, everything's a party here. Yeah, I like to have these electric pink and greens. I guess last thing we could say is, well, optionality. How's our TIX contracts looking?
Basically break even right now.
Because, we're moving in the right direction, but the time is running out. So
right.
Time decay is hitting us up. Down to 9.2 cents. Okay. So is it possible to do an exchange arbitrage with those kinds of trade times? Great question. And no. Billionaire training. I just learned something new yesterday. So I'm going to share this with you guys. Let's go back to screens as we start to wrap up here. It's 3:19 on a Friday. I learned something new yesterday. And this was actually, I did not know this. Arbitrage is when something is trading at this price on exchange A, and you notice that it's trading at this price on exchange B. So you then move funds or have them already to buy here, presumably withdraw it, send it to the other exchange, and then sell over there. The risk as a retail trader like myself and everybody else here is that the time it takes to get over there, how do you know that you're not going to get washed where, somebody got that deposit off before you and then they get over there and it's already back down or even below. And so you can lose. But here's what I learned. There are actually services for funds, market makers. I mean, Nick, you may know something about this, where you can actually transfer between exchanges on their books without actually having to make the withdrawal and the deposit. Did you know that?
Okay. Yeah, like there's
I didn't know that existed, and it makes sense, right? It would almost have to, because otherwise all of those market maker bots and stuff that are running on 5 different exchanges, they would just be withdrawing and depositing all the time. So there's actually services that for a certain amount of size, they just have shit on all exchanges, I guess, and you basically just transfer on their books and you can arbitrage with bots. So short answer is arbitrage, you're competing with people who have a huge edge because their money is already in both places. I've done a few arbitrages where it was ridiculous. There was something going on with one of the books and it was just market dumping on one. It was actually Box Token, Block Party. It was on Beaksy Exchange and it had just gotten nuked to 100 sats. And then I looked and on Bittrex, it was trading at 600 sats and there was still liquidity. So I just scooped up a bunch, sent it over to Bittrex, sold it. It was sick. I made a 5X. But that was weird. That was I don't know. Something was wrong there. It wasn't normal.
Market inefficiency.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. I think there was some kind of I don't even want to say a hack of the Box Token and somebody was just dumping it like crazy, with a bot on the one exchange. It was definitely an irregularity, but I just happened to be sitting there staring at the chart. So yeah. Okay, guys. We're getting near the end here. If you just got in here a little late and you're, looking forward to the next one on Monday, I'm going to be on here with Smokey Trader Smokey. I forget which way those go, but he's just kind of an OG in the space. Have you? I don't know.
I don't know.
One of our marketing guys introduced me to him. He's a great trader, apparently, and I'm going to dig into his style and help him, where he's going to help us kind of explore sort of what he looks like or what he looks at in the market. And actually, I looked at his channel the other day. He does a lot of arbitrage type mentions. So we'll see. So I'm excited to unpack his strategy, share it with all you guys. We're going to dive into the charts. It'll be more of a trade chart focused session on Monday. And Nick, you and I will be back together on Wednesday at 2 p.m. next week.
Looking forward to it as always.
Yeah, and big shout to Tamea showing us all the love today, saying you guys are awesome, my favorite YouTube stream, and hope that the bosses appreciate us. Well, I think they do, and they are enjoying their day. Oh, great. So Tamea says she knows Trader Smokey and she follows him already. So that's great. So he's coming on Monday, and I'm going to get to know him a little bit, and we'll unpack all that. Other than that, guys, have a wonderful weekend. It looks like ETH and Bitcoin are bouncing here, kind of breaking out on the low time frames. So that actually is really good news for the next couple of days for altcoins, because if they're going to range and move up a bit, my guess is those sharp sells in altcoins are going to get bought up. We might even see some nice pumps this weekend. So keep your eyes on the charts if that's your flavor. And yeah, that's it, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. And whatever you do this weekend, always play from a position of strength. Take care.
See you guys.